All right, so today we're going to be doing a deep dive into Burn the Fat, Feed the Muscle.
Yeah.
This book is all about how to achieve permanent fat loss and build muscle.
Hmm.
And I don't know about you, but I'm really tired of yo-yo dieting.
Yeah.
Like, you lose the weight and then it just comes right back.
Oh, totally. It's like a never-ending cycle, you
Yeah,
know?
and this book kind of claims that they have the secrets to actually keeping it off for good.
Right.
So I'm excited to dig in here.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that Burn the Fat really emphasizes is
Yeah,
it's not a quick fix. It's about making sustainable lifestyle changes.
right.
And that's a combination of nutrition and exercise.
Yeah, it's not about like fighting your body, but like working with it.
Exactly.
One of the most interesting things that I found out about this book is they basically say most diets set us up for failure
Mm,
because they rely on cutting calories so drastically,
right
which
on.
actually backfires and makes it harder to lose fat in the long run.
Yeah.
How does that even work?
Well, it's this concept of starvation mode.
Oh, yeah.
Have you heard of that before?
I've heard of it, but I don't really understand like the science behind it.
Yeah, so basically when you restrict your calories like super low, your body kind of freaks out.
Okay.
It thinks it's in a famine situation.
Right.
So what it does is it starts to slow down your metabolism.
Mm-hmm.
It holds on to fat as much as possible, and it can even start breaking down muscle for energy.
So it's like going into survival mode.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like protecting itself.
So all those crash diets we've been doing are basically like setting off a metabolic alarm,
Pretty much. Yeah.
and then our bodies are just holding on to fat even tighter.
Yeah.
So it's no wonder we gain the weight back
Mm-hmm.
because we're basically training our bodies to resist our efforts.
Yeah, you're fighting against your body's natural instincts.
Okay, so how do we get around that then?
Well, Burn the Fat focuses on creating a calorie deficit, but it's not through extreme dieting.
Okay,
It's through exercise.
Oh.
So you're still burning more calories than you're taking in,
right.
but you're doing it in a way that doesn't trigger that starvation response.
So it's not about starving ourselves, it's about fueling our bodies properly
Exactly.
and exercising.
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense.
And it recommends a slower approach to fat loss. So like 1 to 2 pounds per week.
Oh, so it's like slow and steady wins the race.
Yeah, exactly. It's more sustainable and you're more likely to keep the weight off.
Okay, but how do we even know where to start?
Right?
I mean, everyone's different, right?
Right.
What works for one person might not work for another.
Yeah, that's where goal setting comes in.
Okay.
The book talks a lot about how important it is to have a clear vision of what you want to achieve
Mm-hmm.
and then breaking that down into smaller steps.
So you're not just like overwhelmed by this huge goal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it even gives this example of the Soviet athletes in the 1980 Olympics.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they use these visualization techniques to help them achieve success.
Oh, so like picturing themselves winning.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Does that stuff really work?
Well, there's a lot of research that suggests that it does.
Really?
When you visualize something vividly, you're basically training your brain
Oh, wow.
to focus on the actions that are needed to get there.
So you're creating a mental blueprint.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
So it's like prepping your mind for the journey.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now one thing that I found really interesting is this whole concept of body types.
Yeah.
Endomorphs, mesomorphs, and ectomorphs.
Right.
Can you explain a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So basically the book is saying that everyone responds differently to diet and exercise,
Okay.
and it's based on your body type. So endomorphs, for example, they tend to have a slower metabolism.
Okay.
They gain weight more easily.
Right.
Mesomorphs are kind of like the naturally athletic types. They build muscle pretty
Right.
easily.
Yeah.
And then ectomorphs are those lean individuals who have a hard time gaining weight.
Wow. So it's like we have different metabolic blueprints.
Yeah, you could say that.
So if someone's struggling to lose weight, maybe it's not because they lack willpower,
Right.
but maybe they're just following the wrong plan for their body type.
Exactly. Yeah, it's about finding what works for you.
Okay, so then how much of this is determined by our genes?
Well, the book uses this idea of a genetic bell curve.
Okay.
So some people are just naturally predisposed to gain weight more easily.
Right.
Others are naturally leaner,
Okay.
but it's not a life sentence.
Okay.
You can still achieve your goals even if you're not genetically gifted.
So genes play a role, but it's not the be-all, end-all.
Exactly.
Okay, now let's talk about this law of calorie balance because it seems pretty basic, right?
Mm.
To lose fat, you need to burn more calories than you consume.
Right.
But the book also talks about calculating your individual calorie needs.
Yeah, because it's not just a one-size-fits-all thing.
Okay.
There are a lot of factors that influence how many calories you burn each day.
So like how active you are?
Yeah, your activity level,
Yeah.
your age, your gender, your body composition.
Wow. That's a lot. Is there a simpler way to estimate it?
There is. The book gives a quick method based on your body weight.
Okay.
So if you're aiming to lose fat, you'd multiply your body weight by 12 to 13 calories.
Okay.
But that's just an estimate.
So it's a good starting point.
Yeah.
Now, what about eating frequency?
Yeah.
Because Burn the Fat says that we should be eating 5 to 6 smaller meals a day.
Right.
I thought eating less often was the key to weight loss.
That's a common myth, actually.
Oh, really?
When you go for long periods without eating, your blood sugar drops.
Mm-hmm.
And that can lead to cravings and overeating later.
So it's like our bodies are freaking out, being like, we need food.
Exactly.
Give me food.
So eating more frequently helps stabilize blood sugar levels
Okay.
and prevent those energy crashes.
So we're not getting hangry.
Yeah, exactly.
What about this whole idea of food combining?
Oh, yeah.
Like what you should and shouldn't eat together?
Yeah. The book actually debunks that whole food separating myth.
Oh, really?
It says that you should actually combine protein and carbs at every meal.
Really? I always thought that was a no-no.
Yeah, a lot of people think that,
Okay.
but it actually helps with insulin management.
Oh, okay.
And it ensures that those nutrients are delivered to your muscles efficiently.
So it's not about keeping them separate, it's about combining them.
Yeah, they work together.
Okay, what about macronutrient ratio?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
balancing protein, carbs, and fats.
Yeah, the book recommends a baseline ratio of 55% carbs, 30% protein, and 15-20% fat for fat loss.
Okay.
But it also says that you can adjust this based on your individual needs.
So like if you're more carb sensitive,
Exactly.
you might need to lower the carbs a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, now I want to talk about fats because I feel like fats have been demonized for so long.
Yeah.
But this book really dives into like the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Mm-hmm.
Can you break that down a little bit for us?
Yeah, so for years we were told that all fat is bad.
Right.
But the truth is, our bodies need fat
To function properly.
to function properly.
Yeah.
And there are good fats and bad fats.
So what are the good fats?
So the good fats are the unsaturated fats.
Okay.
And those are found in things like avocados, nuts, and seeds, olive oil.
So we should be eating those good fats.
Yes.
Definitely.
Okay. And what of the bad fats?
Saturated fats are the ones that you want to limit.
Okay.
Those are found in things like fatty meats and full-fat dairy.
So like red meat.
Yeah.
And then what are the ugly fats?
The ugly fats are the trans fats.
Okay.
And those are found in processed foods.
But we should avoid those at all costs.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. Now the book recommends 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight.
Yeah,
That seems like a lot of protein.
it does. But it's really important for building and maintaining muscle mass,
Okay.
especially when you're trying to lose fat.
And it addresses that myth about protein being bad for your kidneys, right?
Yeah, that's not true. For people with healthy kidneys, there's no evidence to support that.
So protein is our friend.
Yes.
Okay, good to know.
Uh.
Now let's talk about carbs,
Okay.
because there's so much confusion surrounding carbs.
The book talks about like the good carbs and the bad carbs.
Right.
So the good carbs are like the complex carbohydrates.
Yeah, like starches and fibers.
Okay.
And those are the ones that you want to focus on.
So like whole grains and fruits and vegetables.
Exactly.
And then the bad carbs are the simple carbs.
Right, like sugar.
Okay, so those are the ones that we want to limit.
Yeah, as much as possible.
Okay. Now, one last thing before we move on to the exercise portion.
Mm-hmm.
The book recommends drinking a gallon of water a day.
At least a gallon a day.
Yeah.
That seems like a lot of water.
It does. But it's really important for so many reasons.
Like what?
It helps with fat metabolism, muscle function.
Mm-hmm.
It keeps you hydrated. It can even help with your mood.
Wow, so we got to stay hydrated.
Definitely.
Okay, now what about alcohol? Does the book say we can't drink at all?
It doesn't say that you can't drink at all,
Okay,
but it does recommend that you limit your intake.
so moderation is key.
Yeah, because alcohol can interfere with fat burning
Okay.
and muscle growth. So it's not about completely cutting it out.
Right.
It's about being mindful.
Exactly.
Okay, now what about supplements? Does Burn the Fat recommend any supplements?
Well, it doesn't recommend any like magic pills or anything like that.
Okay.
It says that there's no substitute for hard work and good nutrition.
So no shortcuts.
No shortcuts.
Okay. But it does recommend a multivitamin, right?
Yeah, multivitamin is a good idea. Just to make sure you're getting all the nutrients you need,
Okay.
especially if you're not eating a perfect diet.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here in terms of the nutrition side of things.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's move on to exercise.
Okay.
What does Burn the Fat say about exercise?
Well, it emphasizes the importance of both cardio and weight training.
Okay.
So cardio is important for burning calories,
Right.
improving your cardiovascular health.
And weight training is important for building muscle.
Exactly. And building muscle helps boost your metabolism.
So we need both.
We need both. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about cardio first. The book talks about this fat burning zone,
Mhm.
which is a specific heart rate range where your body supposedly burns fat most efficiently.
Right.
How do we find our fat burning zone?
There are a couple different methods you can use.
Okay.
One is to subtract your age from 220
Okay.
and then multiply that number by 60% and 80%.
So that gives you your target heart rate range.
Exactly.
Okay. And then what types of cardio does the book recommend?
Well, it recommends a variety of cardio.
Okay.
So things like brisk walking, running, swimming, biking.
So basically anything that gets your heart rate up.
Yeah, exactly. And it also recommends interval training.
Oh, what is interval training?
Interval training is where you alternate between periods of high-intensity exercise
Okay.
and periods of rest or low-intensity exercise.
So like sprinting and then walking.
Yeah, exactly.
And why is interval training so effective?
Because it helps to burn more calories in a shorter amount of time,
Okay.
and it also helps to boost your metabolism even after your workout is over.
So it's like a really efficient way to burn fat.
Exactly.
Okay, now let's talk about weight training.
Okay.
Why is weight training so important for fat loss?
Because, as we mentioned earlier, building muscle helps to boost your metabolism.
Right.
And when you have more muscle mass, you burn more calories even at rest.
So it's like a long-term investment in your metabolism.
Exactly.
Okay. And does the book recommend any specific weight training exercises?
Yeah, it recommends focusing on compound exercise.
What are compound exercises?
Compound exercises are exercises that work multiple muscle groups at the same time.
Oh,
So things like squats, deadlifts, and presses.
so those are the ones that are going to give us the most bang for our buck.
Exactly.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here in terms of the exercise side of things.
Yes.
We've talked about cardio weight training and interval training.
Mhm.
So what's coming up in part 2?
In part 2, we're going to delve into some practical strategies that you can actually use to see results.
Okay, I'm excited for that.
Yeah. We'll talk about things like how to make healthier choices when you're eating out, how to stay motivated, how to overcome plateaus.
So basically everything we need to know to actually put this into practice.
Exactly.
Okay, great. I can't wait to learn more.
Yeah, me too.
All right, so we'll see you next time.
See you then. Welcome back. Let's dive into some of those practical strategies.
Sounds good.
From burn the fat, feed the muscle,
Perfect.
that you can actually put into action.
Yeah, one of the things that really stood out to me is they emphasize making those gradual changes
Right.
instead of like, just diving headfirst into some crazy restrictive diet.
Yeah,
It's about building those healthy habits, right?
exactly. It's about establishing a baseline.
Okay, a baseline.
Yeah, so like mastering those fundamental nutrition habits
Okay.
before you even try to like overhaul everything.
Gotcha.
So focusing on whole unprocessed foods,
Mm-hmm.
balancing your macronutrients,
Right.
and just creating like a consistent eating pattern that works for you.
Okay, so starting with the macronutrients, like that ratio, that
Yeah.
55-30 and 15-20. But we also talked about customizing that. Is that where like the body types come in?
Yeah, exactly. So like if you're more carb sensitive,
Okay.
you might want to adjust that ratio a little bit.
Okay.
So maybe something like 40% carbs, 40% protein, and 20% fat.
Gotcha. So it's not like a hard and fast rule.
Right. It's about
Yeah.
finding what works for you
Okay.
and your body.
Okay. And then what about like real life situations, like,
Yeah.
making healthy choices when you're eating out?
That's a tough one.
Yeah, because those portions are huge.
Yeah. And it's so easy to just like indulge.
Yeah.
But Burn the Fat has some really good tips for that.
Okay.
So like, for example, you can ask for your food to be prepared without added butter or oil.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah, you can choose grilled or broiled dishes instead of fried. You could opt for steamed veggies instead of like the ones swimming in creamy sauces.
Okay.
And you could always ask for dressings on the side
Right.
so you can control how much you're using.
Okay. That's all really good advice. Now, this one surprised me a little bit.
What's that?
The book actually encourages you to have cheat meals
Yeah,
once or twice a week.
I know it sounds crazy, right?
Yeah, I thought those were like off limits.
Yeah, a lot of people think that. But the idea is that when you restrict yourself too much,
Right.
you're more likely to binge later on.
Yeah, that's true.
So if you allow yourself those planned cheat meals, it can actually help you stay on track in the long run.
So it's like a little bit of a pressure valve.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
Now let's shift gears a little bit and talk about exercise.
Oh,
We talked about cardio and the fat burning zone.
Right.
The book gives a couple of formulas to calculate your target heart rate.
Mm-hmm.
Is it really important to hit those numbers exactly?
You know, I think it's a good guideline,
Okay.
but I wouldn't get too caught up in it.
Okay.
The most important thing is to find activities that you enjoy
Right.
and that you can stick with.
Okay.
So if you hate running, don't force yourself to run. Find something else that you like,
Okay.
whether it's dancing, swimming, biking, whatever.
And as you get fitter,
Yeah.
how do we keep challenging ourselves?
Well, the book talks about this concept of progressive overload.
Okay.
Progressive overload.
Yeah. So basically, you want to gradually increase the intensity or duration of your
Yes.
workouts over time.
So it's like we're leveling up.
Exactly.
And then what about mixing things up?
Yeah.
Should we be doing like the same type of cardio all the time?
Variety is key.
Okay.
The book recommends incorporating different types of cardio.
Okay.
So like steady state
Sure.
cardio, interval training, high intensity workouts.
So basically keeping our bodies guessing.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, now let's talk about weight training.
Okay.
Why is weight training so important even if our main goal is fat loss?
Well, we talked about how building muscle helps to boost your metabolism,
Right?
but it also helps to sculpt a leaner, more defined physique.
Okay.
And it improves your overall strength and functionality.
Right. So you're stronger, you're more resilient.
It's like building a suit of armor.
Yeah, exactly.
And it addresses that myth about weight training making women bulky.
Yeah, that's not true.
Okay, good.
Muscle and fat are two completely different things.
Right.
So you're not going to get bulky from lifting weights.
Okay, so no need to be afraid of the weights.
No, not at all.
Now, what about, like, how often should we be working out?
Well, the book recommends that beginners start with a full body weight training routine,
Okay.
2 to 3 times a week.
Okay. And then what about cardio?
For cardio, it recommends aiming for at least 3 to 4 days a week.
Okay.
And then as you get fitter, you can gradually increase the frequency or the duration.
So like a gradual progression?
Exactly.
Okay, now what about those dreaded plateaus?
Yeah, those are no fun.
They're so frustrating.
But they're normal.
Okay.
It just means that your body has adapted to your current routine.
Okay.
So you need to switch things up.
So it's not a sign to give up?
No, not at all.
It's a sign to, like, try something new. Exactly. What are some ways that we can bust through those plateaus?
Well, you can try tweaking your calorie intake a little bit.
Okay.
You can increase the intensity or duration of your workouts.
Okay.
You can try new activities.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can even take a short break to let your body recover.
Okay.
Sometimes that's all you need.
So it's like hitting the reset button.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I like to track my progress
Yeah,
because it keeps me motivated.
me too.
What does the book say about that?
The book is all about tracking your progress.
Okay.
It recommends keeping a food journal,
Okay.
monitoring your weight,
Mm-hmm.
measuring your body fat percentage,
Okay.
and just kind of paying attention to how you're feeling
Okay.
and how your clothes are fitting.
So it's not just about the scale.
Right. It's about those non-scale victories, too.
Exactly.
Like how much stronger you're getting,
Yeah.
how much better you feel,
Yeah.
how much more energy you have.
Okay, now we've talked a lot about the physical side of things,
Mm.
but what about the mental game?
Yeah.
Because let's be real, it can be tough.
Oh, it's super tough.
Yeah.
It's a mental battle.
Yeah.
Burn the Fat actually dedicates a whole section to the importance of mindset.
Oh, wow.
So it talks about things like cultivating self-belief,
Okay.
silencing your inner critic,
Mm-hmm.
developing a more positive self-image.
Okay.
It gives you a lot of practical strategies
Mm-hmm.
for managing stress,
Okay.
overcoming self-sabotaging behaviors, and just staying motivated.
Okay, so we got to work on our minds as well as our bodies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's all connected.
Okay, this has been really insightful.
Yeah.
We've covered so much ground here,
We have.
from the nutrition, the exercise, the mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So what can our listeners expect in the final part of this deep dive?
Well, in part 3, we're going to get even more specific.
Okay.
We're going to talk about the book's recommendations for different body types.
Okay.
So we'll talk about what endomorphs should be doing, what mesomorphs should be doing, and what ectomorphs should be doing.
Okay, so even more personalized advice. Exactly.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
Yeah, me too. It's going to be good.
All right, so welcome back to our final part of this deep dive into burn the fat, feed the muscle.
Yeah. It's been quite a journey.
It has been. We've covered so much.
Mm-hmm.
But now I want to talk about how to personalize this whole approach
Okay.
based on our body types.
Right. Because remember we talked about those endomorphs, mesomorphs, and ectomorphs.
Yeah, and it's not just about identifying them,
Right.
but it's about like what they should be doing differently.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The book gives specific recommendations for each body type.
Okay, so let's break it down.
Mm.
Starting with endomorphs.
Okay.
So these are the people who tend to gain weight more easily.
Right. They have a slower metabolism.
Yeah, and it's like their bodies are just like holding on to those extra pounds.
Yeah, it can be tough.
So what does the book recommend for them?
Well, for endomorphs, it's all about finding that balance between diet and exercise.
Okay.
So it recommends a higher protein, moderate to low carbohydrate approach.
So they got to watch those carbs. Yeah. And especially limit processed foods, sugary drinks, refined grains, all that stuff that can spike your blood sugar.
So making those smarter choices.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And what about exercise for endomorphs?
So for exercise, the book recommends a combination of weight training and cardio,
Okay.
aiming for at least 3 to 4 weight training sessions per week.
And focusing on those compound exercises, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, squats, deadlifts, presses.
The ones that work multiple muscle groups.
Yeah. You want to get the most bang for your buck.
Exactly. And then how much cardio should they be doing?
At least 30 minutes on most days of the week.
Yeah, okay.
But again, it's about finding something that you enjoy and can stick with.
All right, so let's move on to mesomorphs.
Okay.
Now, these are the people who are naturally athletic.
Quickly, right? They tend to build muscle easily.
Yeah, it's like they just look at a weight and they get bigger.
I know, right?
But do they still need to follow a specific plan?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Even though they might have an easier time building muscle, they still need to pay attention to their diet and exercise.
Gotcha.
So the book recommends a balanced macronutrient ratio,
Okay.
but with a slightly higher emphasis on protein.
To support that muscle growth.
Exactly. And then for exercise, it's similar to endomorphs.
Okay.
Weight training, 3 to 4 times a week, regular cardio.
But they might be able to handle more?
Yeah, they might be able to lift heavier weights or do more cardio.
Okay.
It really just depends on the individual.
Okay. And then lastly, we have ectomorphs.
Right.
These are the folks who have a hard time gaining weight.
Yeah, they have a really fast metabolism.
It's like they can eat whatever they want and they don't gain a pound.
I know, it's not fair.
So what does the book recommend for them?
Well, for ectomorphs, the focus is on eating more calories than they burn.
Okay, so they actually need to eat more.
Yeah, and especially focus on carbs.
Carbs, really?
Yeah, because carbs provide the energy that their bodies need to build muscle.
Okay.
And they also need plenty of protein
Okay.
to provide those building blocks for muscle growth.
So it's a balance, but they got to bump up those calories.
Yeah, exactly.
And what about exercise for ectomorphs?
The book recommends focusing on weight training,
Okay.
lifting heavy weights with fewer reps,
Okay.
and limiting cardio,
Really? Why is that?
because cardio can burn too many calories,
Okay.
and that can hinder muscle growth.
So they got to prioritize those strength training sessions.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so we've talked about tailoring the approach based on body type, but the book also goes into some more advanced techniques.
Yeah. For those who are ready to take it to the next level,
So like what kind of stuff?
well, things like calorie cycling,
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
intermittent fasting.
That's a popular one.
Yeah,
And some more advanced weight training techniques.
exactly.
Can you give us a quick overview of those?
Yeah. So calorie cycling is where you basically vary your calorie intake throughout the week.
Okay.
So you have days where you eat more calories and days where you eat less calories.
So you're kind of keeping your body guessing.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then what about intermittent fasting?
Intermittent fasting is where you cycle between periods of eating and fasting.
Okay.
So there are different methods, but one popular one is the 16-8 method,
Okay.
where you fast for 16 hours, and then you have an 8-hour eating window.
Okay.
And then for weight training, there are techniques like drop sets, supersets, negative reps.
So it's about like pushing those boundaries.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. This has been an amazing deep dive into burn the fat, feed the muscle.
It has.
We've learned so much.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground.
From the basics to the more advanced stuff. And most importantly, we've learned that it's not a one-size-fits-all approach.
Right. It's about finding what works for you.
And your body type.
Exactly.
All right, so before we wrap up,
Yeah.
is there anything else that you want to add?
I would just say, this is a journey, not a destination.
Right.
There are going to be ups and downs.
Plateaus and breakthroughs.
Exactly.
But the key is to just keep going.
Yeah. Be consistent, be patient, and believe in yourself.
Yeah. I love that. Believe in yourself.
Yeah.
All right, well, this has been amazing.
Yeah. It's been fun.
I've learned so much.
Me too.
And I hope our listeners have too.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll see you next time.
See you then.
You can download the book for free from our website.